Hello and welcome to the ones who think but do not know. I'm your host, Curtis Rolton, and I'm joined by my co-host, Robleh, and here we will be giving a comprehensive guide to the 3 upcoming by-elections, which are...
Well, on the same day, on the 20th of July 2023, Public...
No.
Sorry, that's one of the candidates.
Sorry. Somerton and Frome, which is in Somerset. Tory safe seat.
Selby and Ainsty.
Which is a Yorkshire Tory seat. Those new to British politics, those words don't often go together. And Uxbridge and South Russell, which is
Boris Johnson's old constituency.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting at the moment, quite up in the air. And this video aims to give you a brief overview of each of the candidates.
Do you remember our last by-elections video?
Who could possibly forget when we said, "Oh, there's no way Keir Starmer."
Well, I mean, that was when Keir Starmer versus Boris Johnson, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know, but there was a way we were just like, "There's no way Keir Starmer will." I said some rather disparaging things about Keir Starmer, and I'm just saying apologies in advance to any of the candidates for any of the things I must say. I mean, I would say it would be balanced for me not to say anything, but I've got a new policy. If I insult all the candidates equally, that's what's called balance.
Okay then. Well.
No, that was a joke, by the way.
Yeah, right. Since the last time we did it with our words, I think 2 by-elections in the north, and the electoral ball looked a little bit more patchy.
Yeah, and now it looks quite patchy.
Yeah, it's getting quite urgent at this stage.
Yeah, the Tory vote nationally is in freefall, which brings me on to an interesting thing. Now, I know this isn't the order we talked about, but there are a lot of the independents are actually Tory. Are former Conservative, which I think is a lot of politicians smelling which way the wind is going. I know that's not the phrase, but I'm gonna go. It's like kind of seeing which way it's going, jumping ship. We will get more in detail with them in a bit when we go over their individual candidatures.
Shall we look at the safer Tory areas?
Yeah, we will go to the safer Tory areas of Somerton and Frome. Mm-hmm. The Somerton and Frome, which is a by-election caused by the resignation of
Mr. Warburton.
Conservative member David Warburton for sexual harassment and drug allegations.
You know more about this story than I do. What has brought this about?
Which he denies. David Warburton. There's a very famous photo which we will
put up. I mean, it's him. Basically, it's him
next to some suspicious powder. I mean, it's not labelled, so it could be baking powder.
According to that logic, do you think the gangs have gone out of business long ago?
Yeah. I mean,
the bags had to be labelled. They didn't call it a shop, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they do in the Conservative, in the Parliament. They call it the shop.
Goes too smart.
They have a shop attached, not the Parliament shop.
Yeah. Which has very nice chocolate, by the way.
Yes, not cocaine. In that seat, the Conservative is is quite different from the last one. I mean, she's a very local sort of person involved in business. She's on the Yeovil council,
which is a different seat to
it's in a different seat.
But no, well, actually, they often do this because there are multiple council wards within a constituent.
But
so it's not always like I'm in Essex. I'm in Saffron Walden constituency, but Chelmsford Council. You see how it's different constituencies for.
But she
like different wards. Wards are different to constituencies,
and
so that's
a lot of these
what
people
that is.
A lot of these people, obviously, when you find independents in politics, they're often either the boards of important sorts of companies, or they are involved in
but she's not an independent. She's a conservative.
She's a conservative, but often there are also party or independents. They go in councils.
Yeah. So what is she called again? She called
Pubrick.
And she's pro-business, right?
Yes. Well, she's done a lot of work in business at the time.
And has she been previously elected, or is this her first go?
She has been elected a few times.
I can't.
But within the council, not as like an MP.
No, but I can't remember exactly how healthy those majorities are.
I don't think they. I mean, in the councils, they tend to have smaller turnouts.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as much. But her opposition, Labour, one of her opposition.
Now, here's the thing. We set out for this project to be as objective as we possibly could, to give the most airtime to each candidate as we could, as a discussion point.
Yeah.
Quick note to the Labour Party. If your website is not working,
or the Facebook appears to be about various things that don't tell us that much,
we cannot help you. Like you've got to work with us, okay?
Asking the Labour Party to work with you on YouTube channel. That's balance out though.
No, I didn't mean it like that. But what I mean is, if you want coverage, put things out there.
I mean,
which is somewhat concerning because
it's a major party.
I'm just saying, polls and the mood of the country is that Labour will form the next government,
or at least
Lib Lab coalition.
Yeah, something maybe. I mean, we're not.
That's not what we're not. We're just stating a fact.
I think the Conservatives have a lot to come back from. I mean, there are quite a few small parties.
But what I will, because people say, "Oh, it doesn't matter," so people somehow think independents are more palatable than others.
There's a lot of because obviously, I mean, we should explain the nature of byelections.
Okay, so for those out of the British political loop, out of the loop, those who are roommates. I'm kidding. That was a in the loop joke.
Not a very creepy joke.
So no, I didn't think it was creepy. You've said it now. I feel really self-conscious. Hashtag don't cancel me.
Don't cancel me, please, mate. It's not a house joke.
Hashtag. Okay. You really threw me. Okay. So by-elections are made up when a member of Parliament resigns from the House of Commons. Because once they resign, then a by-election is triggered afterwards. So, and because in British law, elections have to happen on a Thursday, so hence why they're all happening around the same time.
Yeah.
Now, because, so that's why they're happening at the same time. But that does mean there is normally an influx of independents and strange candidates.
Yeah, minor parties.
That wouldn't be
kind of normal in
general elections don't normally have characters like this.
Well, the funding.
I don't know what I'm doing with my hands.
the funding is different, isn't it? Because in all political systems, you see the funding jumping around general elections as well. So it's possible for smaller candidates.
I mean, I can tell let's just say, I can tell which seats Labour are aiming towards and which seats they're not that bothered about.
I mean, they seem the Liberal
so
Democrats
going back to what's it called, Somerton and Froome.
Yeah.
What? Sorry.
There's we've got Dyke, the Liberal Democrat,
now,
who is
of
involved,
farming.
I think he's involved in farming still.
Yeah, I think she's a farming stock or involved in farming. I'm not.
Her family was involved in farming for 250 generations, which only tells you that she has a big stake in the land, or her family did at some stage.
And she often poses literally in tractors.
Yes.
We will probably get a photo of that.
And I think this is the difference. The constituencies in the southwest tend to be more Liberal Democrat or open to the Liberal Democrat Party as opposed to.
Look, all I'm saying is, I'm just being objective, as we are both within the southeast region, which is a slightly different region, but there does seem to be a sense that if you're like the progressive faction within this area would go Lib Dem before they go Labour. And I
think it's partly a thing about the south, and it's partly about industrial cities. And in Somerton and Froome, you tend to have lots of countryside, which makes it less likely to vote Labour.
That being said, Labour might not have a very good, not saying not a very good candidate, just not a very active candidate, but a candidate that basically flies in the face of everything we've said is Rosie.
Oh yes,
I'm reading my notes.
The Independent Socialist, is it?
Rosie.
Cork.
Rosie Cork. Now, Rosie Cork.
Oh no, we're talking about someone else. Rosie Cork is the Christian.
Oh no, my apologies.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just checking my notes. So, if you want to just talk about the Christian Party for
she stands for a Christian party.
Like she worked
in a lot. She does a lot of charity and think tank work, what is your take on that? I mean, where does the think tank come into?
No, I know. I remember because we looked at that and I found that it's Christian People's Alliance.
Oh yes, so, Christians People's Alliance.
The Christian Party is a slightly different party, though they did have an electoral coalition in 2009. Know.
Very good, very good.
Don't ask me how I know that. I don't even. Yes. So don't ask me how I know that. Yes, I may have researched the 2009.
All right. Well, what about this party? Is different?
But what I mean is, I find them interesting because what's it called? Think tanks don't often go with Christianity. When you think of think tanks, you think of more centrist kind of.
Or sometimes more than as solely economic materialist stance.
Yeah, you don't. That's why I think it's an interesting link with. I just think it's interesting.
Interesting link with her parties.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, I've never heard of them winning that many votes, but it's an interesting part, and also restricting building is one of Kirk's main points. She's all for restricting housing in the certain areas.
And she worked in quote a education think
tank. Well, she worked in the education and children and young people education. So, and the governor of a local school, and this is a theme. Governors of local schools are getting involved in.
And also an interesting theme that will be a recurring theme of today's discussion is having an independent, either having their roots in either Conservative or UKIP, as she does.
Yes.
She has her roots in the United Independence Party. Now, no, United Kingdom Independence Party. Now, for those unaware of UKIP,
can you just say what happened? Summarize what happened to UKIP after the because obviously they want independence from the EU,
okay,
so to speak. So
basically, you know, like
they sort of shattered into a million
different splinter groups.
So you've got Nigel Farage went off
to join the Brexit Party.
And he founded the Brexit Party.
And now the Brexit Party is led by Reform UK leader Richard Tice. Fun fact about him: his partner is Isabel Oakeshott, the current owner.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
The current owner of Matt Hancock's WhatsApp.
Well, currently possesses it. Yeah, I mean that's an interesting connection, but. They have formed into lots of different groups. There's what is there? Reform UK.
There's Reform UK. There's what I call original UKIP.
Yeah, there's the original UKIP.
Now the Christian People's Alliance is not an offshoot of UKIP.
Yeah.
There's the Heritage part.
The Heritage. Well, I don't think there's much an offshoot, but they're their own.
No.
They're part of that firm now.
No, they are part of the firm.
Oh, really?
No, their leader, I cannot for the life of me remember his name. I will.
The Heritage Party is connected to
UKIP because their leader ran for the leadership of UKIP. Didn't get it. And that is a very common thing when
different parties.
When people either
David Curtin, there we go.
When someone runs for,
I mean, he stood for the London mayoral election.
When someone runs for leader of a party and then does not get it, they tend to splinter off.
Yes, and we've also got Mitchell, who's an independent, and she's very much in favour of unions and things like that, which is quite odd in a rural constituency.
Yeah,
she's an independent socialist.
Independent socialist.
She's very active online and
brackets with a nose piercing.
All right.
No, I'm just giving that as an image of how
somewhat active online. I think she must be going around having to do her own campaign.
She works for. Now, bear in mind, all we have to go on are tweets. Now, they are hard to dissect, because they're just little bits of information. So, if my information on her is somewhat sporadic, but I think, do you think she'd have any kind of base? I mean, I'm not saying there aren't left-wing people in Somerset, but her kind of Corbyn, look, her kind of pro-union Corbyn.
I'm not sure about Corbyn. I think she's an independent socialist, so there's a limit to her. Maybe.
I think she'll pick up somewhere in 100. I think. Probably.
I don't know.
But I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, she works in the railway.
We have some quite interesting people as well. Peter Kevin Richardson. Mr. Richardson,
or should I say Wing Commander Richardson, is a former RAF Wing Commander. But what makes him interesting is he
has wanted to repeal, I think, climate. I believe it was right. He wants to repeal all climate legislation. Now, what he means by that, I mean, he does specify somewhere else that treaties are involved, but he's the UKIP candidate. That's the proper UKIP, not splinter group.
But actually, if you look,
but
the ironic thing is, Reform UK actually often polls better than UKIP. Original UKIP is dead, basically. That is basically a fact. that original UKIP is dead.
Well, they were established in 1993, so I mean they've lost their
1 year after
novelty.
1 year after my sister was born.
Interesting. Well,
I'll be able to tell her she's 1 year older than UKIP.
What Squadron Leader is quite an interesting one. He has kind of obviously fairly pro-military, but he talks a lot about the businesses reducing the he talks about kind of cash flow and reducing the benefit, the idea of debt in the community and trying to promote business.
Yeah, promote it. But
which
does capture some right-wing votes. Here's the thing. I've seen candidates in the past that are skeptical of climate change, but this is the most brazen, the most overt. There's no ifs or buts here. He is just.
I mean, a lot of these points do link back to the climate. For example, in cost of living, still links back to net zero. I mean, he links the two together very explicitly. He's talking about he's talking about big things as well. I think this is a theme with these independents. They talk about these. I
think they like to view that they're punching above their weight to try and. I think it's compensate for
the lack of party support.
Yeah, no, or to try and make themselves notice.
He's not an independent himself, but when we say independent, often
we mean minor parties.
Minor parties often, because minor parties that don't have seats are practically independent. I mean, they have organisations behind them, which are the parties, but those parties are so smaller or outside of the Westminster bubble.
I mean, I think it'd be fair. In politics, we have the big four, which are Conservative, Labour, Liberal Democrat, and Green. These are the parties who can comfortably field a candidate in any location and have the regional party ability to
have a base
manage. Because even though the Greens only have one MP, they are still regionally able to marshal support.
Yeah, and also, I think he's talking a lot about tax, and I mean, there's a lot there, and I'm not sure if he's really got the power to deal with.
Because another key thing is a lot of these people don't seem to understand the power of an
and maybe they do, because I think it's a consultative thing, isn't it? Because they keep saying we want lower tax, but what they mean is that they'll have some influence in Westminster.
Yeah, because let's be realistic, MPs do have influence on council.
Yeah, but I think they are. Your point is true that there's a lot that they try to say we're going to.
We'll
build a new
police station. You don't have the power to do that.
We have a lot. We need regular transport, so we're going to have buses every 5 minutes. You as an MP, you
don't have the power to do that.
Whereas councillors kind of do.
Councillors do. I mean,
a lot of them used to be councillors. But I think when you're an MP, you can pressure councils. You work with councils all the time.
It would be silly to say MPs don't have sway on councillors. That is just wrong.
But there's a limited amount they can do. Martin Dimmery, the Green Party.
Now he is an interesting fellow. If we go on to we'll hopefully post an image of him playing guitar, because I think
he is a performer, from his origin.
But also a councillor. He has been with a very, very good majority.
In 2022 he had,
let's be realistic here. That is good for a
council election,
and also in a relatively conservative area.
Yeah, I mean, sort of between Conservative and Liberal Democrats, which is
because
centre right, probably.
But also there is a Venn diagram where people who are centre right, both economically and socially, also would feel comfortable with the climate, because there is a Venn diagram with conservatives who are climate conscious.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
that he's a conservative, but that he's got.
No, I'm just saying there's a Venn diagram with
that than that.
But he did post. I mean, look, it was the Liberal Democrats who posted a letter, which he responded to in a quite. I'd say that was quite a vicious. I mean,
not vicious, but he was quite direct.
No, I mean, I was surprised.
We see more of this in
Byelections. Because they don't care about forming a coalition or whatever. Like, the gloves are off. There's only one seat, and they're just kind of.
Yeah. So I mean, it was.
Were you not surprised by that?
Well, this is the example of it. He was responding to a Liberal Democrat leaflet, and it's just one of his posts and it's quite.
It was Facebook.
Facebook. Sorry. So it was just kind of the idea that the Greens get singled out in these kinds of seats as being the weakest, and it's certainly our perception, at least, that they're the weakest. But parliamentarily speaking,
they are. they are. I mean, they're level pegging with the Reclaim Party.
And this is about the punching up above their weight that you're talking about.
But yeah, no, his result, like that majority that he got as a councillor, pretty healthy. Which was
above 1,000 people.
Yeah,
1,600
which is pretty good. To put that into perspective, my councillor, the Conservative councillor of the ward I live, has a majority had an electorate of 500.
Right.
Like,
is it possible to turn things around with like that amount?
No. What I'm saying is, and she won.
What
I'm saying is those numbers in council elections are
normal.
Are unusual.
No, it's unusual to see the kind of numbers he's getting. But
so it's just something to consider.
Some of the Conservative candidates have fielded that amount. But I think the thing to remember with these is that actually the Liberal Democrats and the Greens and the small parties are the ones to watch.
Yeah.
Reform UK has been in there.
Because
UK, we've talked about them.
Because also, I think if you look historically at Bradford West and Clacton, which are two quite famous by-elections in recent years, people often turn their backs on their party loyalties and give votes. For an example, a Conservative could vote Green, or a Labour could vote Lib Dem in a way of tactical voting. So small parties often do quite well in by-election. I'm not even suggesting the Green candidate could win, but I'm just saying it's a possibility.
Yeah. So it's one to watch.
We're moving on to
Selby and Ainsty,
which has some really interesting. When I say interesting, I mean really unique policy candidates. No.
How should we tackle?
No. But
shall we go to Palmer first?
We had a meeting this morning.
If you want to call it that.
In which my esteemed associate here said, should we cover the minor candidates in today's episode? And I am so glad that we did, because minor candidates are what make by-elections, and they are what make by-elections interesting. But even as someone who studies by-elections as a hobby, I was even surprised by the level of how should I say, uniqueness, especially in this,
let's give an example.
especially in this constituency. Sorry, Robleh, do you want to go ahead?
We'll find an example. I mean, Mr. Nick Palmer. We thought his approach. I'm going to try and give a summary of his approach. He's standing as an independent, and he's really emphasised his
independence
from other parties. Look, we don't to be talking down to people and espousing, but he has his strategy is strange. Now, he's in interview in his website. NP4. Are we going to advertise this? We plugged his website now.
NP4. Oh God! Because of impartiality, other political views are available. Does that mean we have to do that for every website?
You just have to say other political views are
available. Now, okay. Can I just say, he's got a bit of a paradox because his whole campaign boils down to the by-election doesn't count. Or it doesn't matter. So he's like, so you've got nothing to lose by voting for me.
And that's
which is a paradox.
Someone must have told him, look, the main reason why people don't vote in by-elections, maybe a pollster or something, or a poll said the main reason they don't vote is because they think, it's the by-election, it's not going to turn the tides of Westminster. It's not going to completely change the foundations of the governing party. Maybe he's taken the wrong tack. We impartially we would say maybe.
I don't think.
It's just not.
It's just, and also your message is important, and his message is confusing because on the one hand, he's saying. Doesn't
vote for me, I'll change things because I'm not Labour, not Conservative.
But he's also saying the by-election doesn't matter,
and that whether you elect him or not, therefore things are not going to change. I mean, he says that basically the Prime Minister is going to stay the Prime Minister, the Conservatives are going to stay in power, but you might as well vote for me. It's not it's not a motivating factor.
You need to give a positive campaign because. Basically, there are two ways to fight an election. Blame the other side or show how you were the alternative. He's kind of doing...
blaming the other side.
But not showing, what he plans to do.
There's no
might be a contradiction because I just said earlier about other candidates over-promising, which I
think he's not giving clear instructions to voters. He's not being clear with his messaging. I mean, he says his main slogan is "Do better, Westminster."
Yeah, I'm just gonna say he describes himself as a single issue candidate.
And a single issue
is do better.
Is improving Westminster. A single issue is do better. Now. I would think he's trying to drive at, from what I've read, he's trying to drive at public dissatisfaction with the way Westminster politics is conducted in a very vague sense without going into what that means. But I think he doesn't provide any basis for that.
Yeah, and I think it will be interesting to watch his vote share to see what.
I mean, yeah, he's cutting his own. It's like him cutting his own catalytic converter, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's not. And it's a very vague slogan. But anyway.
Now on to a really interesting man, Mike Jordan. Now Mike Jordan, his statement was one of the most interesting.
I think
bits of policy I've seen in a while.
Well, from a by-election candidate.
Now, what I mean is, when I say interesting, I'm not endorsing it.
I think it's just interesting to see the position of local parties.
You see him toe both lines
quite well. Well, to give an example, he talks about he subdivides it into sections,
which is quite helpful for reading. Personally,
we're going to talk a little bit about our the standards. that we're not trying to be snobbish, but when we read through these things, things such as subdividing policies, talking about policies, writing more than five lines at a time, come up as achievements. Making London listen to Yorkshire. He's a Yorkshire. We should say this at the beginning.
He's a Yorkshireman with an interesting.
The Yorkshire Party.
In the Yorkshire Party. Now,
perspective.
Is the Yorkshire Party candidate. That's
yes,
the one. Now, the Yorkshire Party are a party that believes in devolution of Yorkshire powers into what they call the Yorkshire Assembly. It's kind of this semi-popular idea in the UK of regional devolution.
Well, yeah, I mean, some devolution is, some devolution isn't. Manchester was rejected. I think the 70%.
No, the North and East. No, that was
the North and East also. No, by not assemblies, but mayors. The North East was rejected as assembly.
Yeah.
Quite conclusively.
No, Manchester wasn't rejected. Manchester got through.
No, it was passed through later without referendum. They rejected in referendum first. So in London, there was a majority. There was a majority, but it was not huge. Basically, and in Wales, only 65% for creating the Senate out the Assembly, I think.
You're welcome, Mark.
Yeah. So really, no. I mean, this is a difficult thing to stand on as a main issue. But I think he's trying not to make it his one.
Okay, going back to how he structures things, which I think are really interesting.
The way he talks about alternative agriculture. Alternative. That would be very different. Alternative power, but then he creates a
collective farm. Is that
think of it? No. But he talks about the alternative energy, and then he moves straight to agriculture. So he's straddling the line between maybe we don't want those damn turbines on our farm, and I mean we don't know your. I don't extensively know Yorkshire.
Well, you will.
Maybe. But he's trying to straddle that line.
I think it's really interesting. This statement it's a case study of towing the line, straddling the line in quite a skilled way.
He talks a lot about local health, education, and these are the kind of general themes that people talk about. The housing crisis, but the right homes in the right places. So he's also trying to spend time. He wants to rejuvenate brownfield sites, whereas the Liberal Democrat candidate in Somerton and Frome, I think, wanted to maybe change, or some of their candidates in Green Party wanted to build on wants to move things to the brownfield sites as opposed to the farms, being pro-agriculture. He is pro-agriculture, but he wants to build. He doesn't want to build in the he wants to develop the brownfield sites, but not spill over onto the farms. He also wants to improve the climate. So it's quite a strange set of... He's going to make trade-offs, perhaps, if he does get into power.
Yeah, I know. I think his vote share will be interesting. Not just that, but let's just say his elective history is quite interesting.
He started in 2017
as a Conservative,
and then he moved to Yorkshire Party
which
for a while.
Is not unheard of because
people do switch parties.
But it's the way
because these are council mostly. So there was a general election. He tends to stand Conservative, but when it's a Yorkshire local election, it might be either Conservative or Yorkshire Party. He's never been elected as an MP in Yorkshire Party, and he's trying it a second time, I think.
But to be fair, those numbers are nothing to be ashamed of.
Not in all cases. We should point out that he got the most votes when he's in a general election as a Conservative with full Conservative backing, as you might expect, really. Larger party.
But to be fair, also, he might get... he might try and woo some of his former colleagues over.
Maybe.
Because it'll be interesting to see how
But he flip-flops a lot. Yeah.
So, which is interesting. You know, just the level of, like, on one of them, it was 2022. Like, he was a Conservative as recently as last year. Like, he was a standing Conservative candidate as recently as last year.
So I mean that.
Speaking, no, go on, Robleh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, going over to, shall we go to the Conservatives? Yeah,
No.
Speaking of Conservatives.
No.
Sorry.
They seem to. Now, the Conservative candidate, Charlotte Holmes.
No, Claire Holmes.
Sorry, dyslexia.
Claire Holmes.
Claire
has not
really mentioned.
Well, we have seen we have read other things, and those mostly pertain to her Yorkshireness.
Being a Yorkshire lady and
yes.
being from Yorkshire,
and that I think
focusing on Yorkshire.
Look, the local appeal is clear, but that's the case for all elections, isn't it? All by-elections.
Let's just say she wants that Conservative seat to be as small as possible.
Look, at the moment, Conservatives have been known to play down the fact that they're Conservative, and obviously we see a general trend in by-elections always to go for the local. The idea of people are not listening to your local issues because obviously your MP is in prison or dead. Yeah. So people have not been listening to you in your party, in the main parties. So vote for me and have a change it's based around the locality rather than national party politics. Even the big parties take this approach. Yeah. This is specific to the Conservatives at the current moment. Do you think this is some sort of phase with Boris?
No, I think it's damage limitation. I think they're just trying to cushion the blow because I cannot stress this enough for people who are outside British politics or outside Britain.
Or outside the politics.
How much it looks like the Conservatives are going to lose the next general. Like, I mean, everybody is saying that, and that's not even a generalization. No, but it's an objective fact that people are thinking that. Like, even in Conservative circles, the mood is grim for Conservatives.
So, what I mean, to take totally different tack. I mean, you've got the Labour Party candidate. Why did you laugh straight away?
Sorry.
This is supposed to be in the middle, aren't
you? So
this
is objectively funny.
Let's first of all let's look at the
his approach. Name is Keir Alexander
Mather, not to be confused with Keir Starmer. But the approach of the Labour Party at the moment, to summarise the candidate, is go for a very, very, very young person.
Talk about a fresh face.
Who has never been involved in politics before, never been a councillor. We're not speaking against him.
No, we're just stating a fact. But the only information I found about him was some work he'd done at the Oxford University, I think, he was part of the society or something.
Yes.
I don't know.
So he's from Oxford University, so he's made the. But I think what they're trying to do is they're placing him in a good position to vote, because the last MP obviously is older than him. He's trying to go against older MPs.
He is literally a fresh face.
Appealing to the younger members, maybe.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He sounds eloquent enough.
I mean, he's from Oxford, and that's the other thing. I think he's one to watch because of his
age,
background,
and
age.
Also because of the mastering position that Labour has at the moment. I'm not saying
as a party.
As a party, just all you have to do is look at the current.
And I think it's more about what the Conservatives have done, as opposed to what the Labour could do.
I think he's 24. I believe
he's around that age. He's come out of university recently.
But I think that may. I mean, that
will go in his favour.
No, but I mean, there will be those who are Unsure by his youth.
They might be put off.
I'm just speaking from experience. There was someone I know who was unsure about. There's someone I know who supports a certain party. Well, yeah, they supported a Labour Party candidate in Brighton who was still in university at the time, and the person I know who had been a Labour supporter all their life said they still felt quite uneasy with the youth. So what I'm saying is that could be a factor. I'm not saying it's.
Well, people are entering politics younger. I mean, that's what you talk about career politics. I mean,
yeah.
he's pretty fresh out of education, and now he's going straight into political debate. Apart from him, we've got the Liberal Democrats.
He is definitely one to watch.
We've got the Liberal Democrats, which are operating basically, an anti-conservative, just trying to pick up after where the Conservatives are going to inevitably, or not inevitably, but are very likely to lose seats.
I know, let's be, this guy's an NHS worker, his name is...
Matt Walker.
Matt Walker.
Yeah.
And is he a councillor?
He has been involved in council, I think, yeah.
But he's more works for the NHS.
He's been a manager in the NHS. And doing out of hours work as well is what he's trying to advertise. So it's part of the current move towards a lot of these people later we'll see in the Uxbridge and the rest of it, but a lot of the use of the NHS as not as a political football maybe, but as a badge.
No, it's just similar to the Wing Commander Squadron. They used it as a badge. I'm not saying that's good or bad. It's just
There's a cultural tendency to support them.
Now,
shall we go to the Green Party, because I think we'll save the best for last.
Yes, we shall.
The Green Party candidate has stood for lots of different either Parliament elections. Obviously not been elected yet.
Oh no,
but he has been elected to the local council.
Again, another really healthy.
Quite a large amount of votes. I mean, his approach has been obviously in terms of social issues more would you say tough on the causes of crime, he's involved in education, young people.
I think he said some interesting things on more on tough on the causes of crime, and very proud of that 69%. Actually, they passed it on the website.
But actually, I think he wants to get involved with the people directly, as he's saying, but because he's been a councillor. But this is the same actually with most people from.
I think that
from their background,
the kind of the life cycle of a politician in the UK is often councillor or.
And the decarbonising of the UK with getting rid of pollution. This is a common. Obviously, all Green candidates will be involved in these.
These similar kind of broader issues.
So he's got some experience, hasn't he? And a lot of this. There is a Reform UK candidate which don't have much information on.
Their information. The same with Heritage Party.
Heritage Party.
No, hang on, we'll get to those Heritage Party candidates.
Yes.
Again, called Guy Phoenix. Sorry. Dyslexia.
Guy Phoenix.
Guy.
He hasn't stood before. Know. He doesn't. A lot of these Heritage Party people are very new. Not very. I will say quite far on the right, and it's hard to put that in any other language. I mean,
right
is what it is.
Look, it's not like if someone's right wing, they're right wing. It's not. It's like with that what's she called?
The socialist lady.
Yeah, Rose. Rachel Mitchell. She's a left wing. So like she says it. It's not.
So it's not. But that's their main standing, and I think the Heritage Party are trying to pick up the votes on the right end of the constituency. Yeah. The Reform UK is right wing. It's formed out of the UKIP. In fact, the candidate for Selby and Ainsty, Mr. Kent, he was once a UKIP candidate.
And people have said UKIP's not like it is quite right wing.
It's involved in maybe more against obviously against the EU, free travel, free market.
But there was a time when it was quite anti-immigrant in its rhetoric during the Faragian
era. Yeah.
Now, I have noticed in recent party literature as an observer, they have tried to
be a bit more
moderate their
language,
their persona. Not necessarily their language, but how they come across.
Maybe. Reform UK is picking up the pieces basically from that, and that's they've already got an MP, don't they?
No, that's
that's
the Reclaim Party, which we will come.
That's different.
Which we will come to in Uxbridge North.
No. Let's go to the most the oddest candidate. I'll let you handle this.
No, before we continue.
We have we would like to say we are not biased against any candidate. We make observations. We've seen that this candidate introduces himself.
Gary! Philip. Philip. Sorry again.
So Philip Gray. You like everyone names to be Gary, don't you?
I just see the G and then I'm like
Gary. Yeah, no, but he is.
Yeah, it's interesting.
An independent.
And he's got an interesting view of policy. Now, if we could,
he's got an idea that he's going to use AI.
Use AI
as a policy developer. Now it's not as weird as it sounds. I mean, it is pretty weird. When democracy,
we will quote verbatim from his statement just to give you, because I think I was paraphrasing it. Doesn't really. Explain.
So he gives something of like a taxonomy of human history. He looks rather like. You imagine him to learn maybe ancient Greek.
Yeah, you said this guy's read Plato.
He does look like he studied some sort of ancient Greek. I don't know, but if he says that he gives like a little taxonomy of human democracy or whatever, and he said he seems to believe that AI is the next step, and that would worry some people.
I don't know how he's implementing.
It's on the basis of polling, isn't it? And polling has been shown.
Polling has been invented. Like he's not inventing polling.
No, but using it in a different way. Polling has been shown to have certain gaps. But what he's thinking of doing is using polling data, feeding it into what he calls an ethical AI
called
Polis, which has been developed by someone.
Which means city.
Yes, in Greek. But he's clearly angling it for the development of
Polis.
The development of human sort of or democratic kind of engagement. But I don't know. It's a digital system. It's how secure is it?
And to be fair, and also that has some objectively funny results because he said, "I will just do what my AI."
So he's thinking of being just a delegate. He wants direct democracy. Basically, he's just a delegate. He's just a conduit for the people, which is a very strange metaphor, but
which means that.
He's going to follow the AI.
No, he has these great.
Wonderful. wonderful. He
Yeah.
has these wonderful little posts on Facebook where he says,
I have
vote Andrew Gray.
no,
Andrew Gray. He says independent candidate,
no
no
policies.
His first bullet point is no policies, and he's ticked it using ethical AI software, right? So he's thinking that he's representing the people's
What?
opinion. Somehow he has a chicken there.
I
don't know why.
don't know what the chicken represents.
But his idea is no policies. He's just going to do what the people say. Apparently, according to his AI, and it's quite strange.
It's quite strange, but also it's like, so is he going to do massive polls? I don't know.
He set up a Selby conversation in which people are supposed to post their views, and somehow he puts through an algorithm and pretends that it's. I mean, not pretends, but he's going to say that that's the view of the majority.
I did not see that part of the web. So he's got a app
feed,
within his.
Not an app, but he's got some sort of. He just hears from people. Which, by the way, that's only going to be the people who comment on these sorts of things, and he's just going to create policies.
Because what if the majority don't?
Don't comment on things. How is he going to poll? I mean, accuracy of polling data, the size of samples. Yeah,
it all what? Again, we're not biased against any one candidate. This is just truly bizarre.
Yes. Yeah, I mean that we've tried to work it out. We've tried to think about it. We can't come up with any conclusion. That I'm lost for words.
We will leave.
We'll leave that there, shall we?
Look, if you are a person in, what's he called? No, wait, what's this gentleman called?
Gray.
Mr. Gray, if you would like to come on the podcast and please enlighten us, that would be greatly appreciated, because genuinely we are confused about your policies.
Yes.
Now, on to more traditional left-right politics. Introducing... No, sorry, that was a really silly way of doing it. But Mr. John Waterston of the Social Democratic Party. Now, the Social Democratic Party, Ari, they use the word. I'm going to use the wording from his own
kind of,
because I think that gives a nice. I'm going to use the. There's a nice bit at the end of his website which gives a nice, clear overview of what the SDP stands for.
So it was founded in 1981. It's patriotic, economically left-leaning, and culturally traditional political party. How does that fit into Yorkshire? The idea of the social market.
Now, I think that he could do quite well in Yorkshire but I think traditional views is a code word for right wing, but he doesn't want to.
Conservative doesn't always fit into the right wing. That's why a lot of people go over. That's where you get the Green Connection and all the other.
Oh yeah.
But I think you're getting at what he's saying is that he wants to be more patriotic, more proud of sort of British values, more pushing British values, kind of towards, but also while also favouring maybe more left wing
economic policies and his own.
And obviously in Yorkshire,
I think he could do quite well.
There are a lot of economic issues in Yorkshire which have led people maybe to associate with the Labour Party, and culturally with the Labour Party, and that. But
with more socially traditional views.
And more, yeah. So he might do well in Yorkshire. It would be interesting to watch because it's his first election, although the party's been around since the 1980s.
No, well, they say that they say that the party has recently had a rebrand and it's only really been around for the past few years. But yeah,
properly. But
it'll be interesting to see his numbers.
We also have a climate party, which is distinct from the Green Party.
Now because I did some research on them a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
They are a socially conservative Well, not okay.
Not socially conservative.
No,
maybe
I'm
that's a bit
not.
far.
I'm not gonna say socially conservative because that gives the wrong impression. They are more
Slightly
to
less.
the centre
Yeah,
of,
more to the centre.
say, the Green Party. What I mean by that is the Green Party has some.
It's very socially left wing.
Socially left wing.
Very socially left wing.
Like, for example, like they're in favour of republicanism, the disarmament of nuclear weapons, and disarmament of the army.
Some of the armed forces.
Some of the
like the nuclear weapons and dangerous weapons. They say, well, huge weapons.
Yeah. So they.
It's not. It's but he's the. Is he?
So he wants. I think he is trying to tap Luke John Willock. Well, again, apologies, dyslexia. I will misspell every mispronounce every candidate's name. Is trying to tap into that kind of that ecologically conscious,
but not necessarily very left wing.
But not
people.
Yeah, because they're like
the Green Party is probably one of the most left-wing parties that actually have seats in the UK in Parliament.
Like, I mean, in some respects, it's to the left of
much of the Labour Party.
Most of the Labour Party,
I'd say.
Now, that being said, the Labour. Well, when we say it's hard to say to the right of the Tories or to the left of them because they're such broad.
But I think with the Labour Party, the majority of members are to the right of the. So I think what do you think? It's an interesting one in Yorkshire.
I think
very adapted for location, just like the other.
I think should we do predictions at the end or should we?
Let's say what do we think? Because
I think Labour, but I think it might be close.
It might be close. The Mather is one to watch.
Keir Alexander Mather.
Yeah, well, Mr. Mather, he's very being the young one. He might not get this election, but I think he might get future elections a bit more. It'll be interesting.
I think Conservative will come up. I think it'll be it'll be interesting to see how Conservative face up against Mr. Jordan, the Yorkshire Party gentleman. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting just to see
whether he'll flip back to Conservative.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be fun if he got the seat and then all the Tories are like, Richard Sunak, just go down to his house. So, what can I do for you to flip back?
So, let's move to the ultimate. Well, not the ultimate, but the one with the most candidates, the one with the most going on. Shall we give a background first?
Okay, let's say, to use marketing word, there is buzz around this one because of its former occupant. One Alexander de Bethel Johnson.
Yeah, he's
former Prime Minister and
recently suspended.
He resigned.
He resigned before he could be removed from Parliament.
Oh, well, it's funny because he resigned whilst we were in a meeting discussing.
Yeah, he resigned while we were in conversation about this very topic. We went on to research this topic, and breaking news stories appeared as we were.
I was like, because I knew he was going to get suspended, so I thought I messaged you and I said there's probably going to be a by-election happening. So
yes.
Now, firstly, before we kick off, I'm going to do a brief glossary of each of terms. As ULEZ is the ultra low emission zone, which
that's his main.
No one using that as no one saying it as a glossary because
ultra low emission zone.
It will appear in multiple of the candidatures of different. It will appear in.
Ruislip is in the west of London, right?
Yeah. So it's kind of out of. We will put a map.
Well, it's basically outside of the ultra low emission zone, which has been built by the mayor.
Now, London is devolved, so it has a mayor, a very popular mayor.
Well, he's been re-elected a lot, hasn't he?
I'm just saying it's very popular because of the level of mayor, level of votes. My apologies.
Yes.
That he has received. Now, if you, like me, followed the 2021 London mayoral election, there was numerous candidates, some of which make a return here. But pollsters are viewing this as a kind of dry run of what could be the next year's London mayoral election.
It's really it's quite intense in this area because obviously with a former prime minister just having held this seat only a while ago, there's a lot of people trying to edge in on the left, on the right, on the more to do with local issues.
It'll be
climate.
This one is the one I'm most excited about. I'm going to say a bit as a politics, a self-professed politics geek, because it'll just be interesting to see the way the vote filters down and who gets what and who gets left behind. And
yes, I mean it's interesting that both Count Binface and the Howling Lord Hope, these two have been
they've been about.
Yeah, they've been about in a lot of elections, and they're always. What would you say? Are they they're trying to maybe poke fun a little
like
bit.
They're the great British tradition of comedy candidates, which I think shows a healthy democracy. But they normally poll quite high, and there will be candidates here that get lower than.
Lower than maybe one or two votes, maybe a few votes.
So the ultra low emission zone revolves around cars and
trying to prevent huge amounts of emissions in this area. I think it's interesting that the joke candidates are in. I was just going to mention it was Boris, obviously making a comment on Boris Johnson. We won't go too far into that.
Look, now, whatever you think about Boris Johnson, I don't think he would have been able to hold on to this seat if he was standing. I think he just had too much baggage.
Yes.
Now,
and so talking about the ultra elections then, no Ulez Leo Fowry. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to pronounce it, but he's a new candidate. He talks a lot about the ultra emission zone, how important it is for him to kind of try to prevent London from becoming extremely polluted, working with services and the NHS.
But it's ironic because it's not ironic, it's interesting. It is interesting because whilst he's against the ultra low emission zone, he's not against all green things like the Wing Commander. So there's an interesting distinction there between,
Yes, I mean he's
like he acknowledges the existence of climate change.
That's a low bar, but
no,
you'll be surprised.
No, I'm just saying.
We'll get on to other candidates later that have issues. There's another Kingsley Hamilton anti-Ulez. Well, he's put anti-Ulez in his place. He wants to talk about clean air, but he wants alternatives without. Basically, he's against this whole.
Ulez.
Well, he's against this low emission zone. So he's trying to, and he's against both of them are independents, and they're both sort of trying to break through this red versus blue thing issue.
Yeah. Now, when I talk about our next candidate, I want you to know that we keep an open mind in all our candidates.
A mind can only be so open.
But a mind can only, but as you say, Robleh, a mind can only be so open. Introducing Piers Corbyn. Now, some of you may know Piers Corbyn as an anti-vax.
Well, should we get this out of the way? Is there any relation
to? Piers Corbyn is related, is the brother of Jeremy Corbyn, and is a prominent anti-vax conspiracy.
Well, he's against the vaccine. He's against climate change. He doesn't believe in climate change.
And it's alleged that he does dabble in denial of the Holocaust. Now,
alleged under what circumstances? That's important to get out of the way.
No, it's alleged that his organisation had links to Holocaust denial.
Denying people.
Right? Yeah, which I have not seen personally, but would, is possible. Like, it's a grey area, but I'm going to be really honest. We've tried to be as open and as fair to all the candidates.
He's only really been running significant from 2021.
But
when the lockdown
recently, he last year, December last year, or the year before, he was arrested for threatening to burn down, calling for the burning down, and the disruption and the serious harm of multiple members of Parliament. That's why I view his candidature with some suspicion and concern, because he has a known penchant for spouting
call it
negative,
dangerous, maybe.
Some would say volatile
kind of
rhetoric.
Yeah.
But
that's a word. But he's only been around. Obviously, it's after COVID he starts becoming very active, and from 2021. That's kind of. But he starts picking up votes really in the last year. Anyway.
But
just a warning, maybe he was a weather forecaster, which is the great irony.
Yeah. Because he's a strange person. Obviously, if you live in Oxford and South Ryder, you can vote for whomever you
like. But
I'm not in any way trying to dissuade you, but I'm just saying, be aware that he.
Shall we go over to Blaise Maxime Pascal Bakice?
No, we shall, but in a minute, I think we should go on to one of the more unique candidates.
Shall we talk? Let's talk about him later. Can we just? We'll do some middle people on it. Blaise Maxime Pascal Bakice,
which he is a very
liberal Democrat,
very pro-European. I believe from what I can gather from his website, I believe he's a journalist.
His basic idea, or he was basically concerned with the leaving of the EU and trying to prevent it, but obviously that failed.
Yeah, I mean,
and so now he's standing for office here. Obviously sharing maybe some Lib Dem policies, moderate, or we should say centrist policies.
Centre policies. Now, I think he will do well here, because I think it. To be honest, I think it's a battle between him and Labour.
Maybe.
I genuinely believe that.
Because Labour usually does well in cities such as London.
Yeah,
London's
becoming red.
And it's even when the rest of the country has pretty much moved towards the Conservatives, Labour has managed to maintain a stronghold in most areas of London.
Yeah.
In councils and in most constituencies. He hasn't got a long electoral history.
I'm not sure how old he is.
But he's
I don't know why I said that. I'm just
he's not hugely experienced in politics yet, actually running politics. But we'll see how he goes. So we talk about the two greenish people together.
No, okay.
We've got
Sarah
Chairman
Green.
Who's green, and Ed
Gamble. Green's in her surname.
Oh yeah, sorry.
It's not her party.
She's
well,
green.
It is her party.
She's a green, and her surname is Green. It was a lovely bit of nominative determinism.
And also Ed Gamble.
Ed Gamble. He's
sorry about
it's okay.
The dyslexia.
Ed Gamble. He's a climate party.
He's the leader, and yeah. I was quite impressed with their professionalism of their website when I looked at them a few months back. And when I saw them, and I thought, oh, yay, they've got a website. But when I looked at them, the website was non-functioning.
Yes, and also, but the social media posts are mostly videos of him talking about climate and various other things, climate policy, things like that.
But I think
often criticizing
the climate party will be able to tap into a I'm not going to say totally conservative again. I'm going to say more centre.
I'm not sure. I mean, it's London, so I think there's going to be a mixture. No.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for my money to see how he stacks up against the Lib Dems. No, not the Lib Dems. The Green Party, and to see whether who gets the higher percentage.
Is it going to be a situation like with the right-wing parties, where basically one news party overtakes another and they don't establish a permanent identity? I feel like the Greens are entrenched enough to have some sort of permanent identity, but
I mean,
they might go through some issue where they have competitors who are supposed to be on the same agenda, but the climate agenda is obviously supposed to be universal.
Yeah, but I think the USP of the climate party is the kind of centre rightness of it. And I keep saying centre right. My kind of centre.
You prefer you're saying centre, right?
Yeah, I'm saying centre right, not centre right. Then you've got Hewison Richard, or Richard John Hewison.
So he's a rejoin the EU, very similar to the Lib Dem in his views about the EU.
But this guy is a lot more. He doesn't care. He doesn't want any. He just wants to rejoin now.
And he's actually, I think he's the leader of the party. He's in favour of London joining the EU on its own. Economically,
he was, but now he's.
He was.
Now he believes in a whole UK.
Whole UK, and he set his sights higher, and this is what we're talking about: the ambition of these, smaller parties.
The smaller parties.
But he's
very affable.
Affable. Yeah.
Apologies on the
affable
vocalism there. In how we come across as very professional. He's got quite a slick operation, but I'm not sure how.
I'm not sure how the former Get Brexit Done
Heartland.
Heartland. Well, I mean, I'm not sure about Heartland because obviously London is
But they elected
such a diverse place. But
Boris Johnson.
And he was the no-deal Brexit candidate, really.
Yes, because he chose that Telegraph article to post.
I feel in a way that any predictions we make about West London boroughs is going to be hard, or not boroughs, seats is going to be difficult.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult
because they could switch towards a more. I mean, there's a large sort of maybe middle class that could be either right, but a lot of them are obviously Labour is getting more roughly equal in 2017, right? A, B, and D kind of or C votes.
Yeah,
they're getting a lot of middle class votes. Which could swing them to the left as well.
Which is no,
good for them electorally. Yes,
good for them electorally.
We have
other political views are available.
We have
little Freudian slip there.
We have another Christian People's Alliance.
The Christian People's Alliance.
Defon.
Well,
she's got a she's part of the same party and group, and I'm not sure how well she's going to do in very secular, very urbanized London, but you never know.
But I don't. Yeah, there's not a lot of information about her. Now we should probably talk about the
right-wing parties. The Conservative, actually. Well, no, let's talk about Conservative first as a more go back to the moderate before we go further afield. The Conservative and Unionist Party, Steve Tuckwell. Tuckwell has been involved in. Or do you want to explain?
Yeah.
You can talk.
So, Peter Tuckwell is a more of a bit like he's good within the community. What I mean by that is there are numerous, like he's been a councillor for a long period of time with some relatively healthy election victories. He's also, again, going back to that previous candidate in I can't remember whether it was Selby and Hinds. No, it was anyway, a previous candidate. He'd been involved in school boards, like a board of governors. So he has that going for him. He also is a scout leader, which will obviously
community engagement is a major factor.
You know, being known in your community, like even if you're friends with, if you're already known in your community, I'm not saying be friends with everyone to win your election, but if you're known public, if you're known community figure,
so
be that religious or
in civic or whatever,
or civic, and also he's quite similar. It's ironic, really, the mirror between the Conservative and the Labour Party candidate, because they've got similar backgrounds, is what I'm trying to say.
Local kind of backgrounds in it. But I think also this is a feature of elections that to local things. I mean, people are coming out of councils, and councils are a very different place to Westminster. Everything is very, very local by necessity, and it's all based on what's best for the area, usually infrastructure and hard things like education, very, very technical issues as opposed to...
And there's a lot more cross-party work.
Yeah, I mean, it's a much more... People often prefer it to frontline national politics.
Yeah. Now...
Shall we go on to how many right-wing parties have we done? Because obviously we've got...
We'll talk about the Labour gentleman first.
Okay, we'll go over to
and then we'll do the other right-wing party.
Okay, so Mr. Beales...
He had his own Wikipedia page, so...
which has been useful for us.
Which
It's usually
compared to some candidates who... I've just realised we missed a candidate in a previous election, which we will come back to.
All right. So he's trying to take obviously the seat of the prime minister as the party that's thought to be maybe the successor party.
I saw an interview with him where I could tell he was kind of annoyed that Boris had resigned, because I could tell he really he wanted to they were really going to unseat him. They were really wanting to unseat.
Yes, I think he has been running while Johnson was in power, or at least trying to gather support while Johnson was in power. He's fought some sort of local council elections since 2018.
2018, and so relatively experienced. In local government.
Decent,
and like
decent
I say, mirror to the Conservative candidate. I don't know whether I said the Conservative candidate's name, which is...
No, we did say
okay.
Mr. Tuckwell.
Also, once we finish with the Oxford and South Bradley candidates, I do have to mention Ainsley from the Yorkshire
candidate. All right.
Which I will mention shortly, but
yeah. So, but I mean, obviously he's worked on local policies. He's talked about building more council houses. He's been responsible for that in terms of councils. The London Borough Council.
Big in the supportive of the
transgender thing. Yeah, I mean that's the main part.
And
of
his video seems slick.
He seems like obviously it's a main party. In a way, we expect them to be well put together, but trust we've been looking at by-elections for a while. That's not always guaranteed.
I mean, sometimes the main party doesn't even have a website.
Or they don't get out that much. I mean, you get the idea that sometimes people have just been, dropped in a location,
and they're just parachuted in. Right, you're the party's candidate here. You're proper parachuted in. Now, whilst we're talking about slick campaigning, Cameron
Swarren Bell.
Again, another former
well, he used to be in the Conservative and Unionist Party until this year, and now he's changed to independent.
Was he elected? I think
he has not been elected yet. Okay. But it often takes a few tries to get elected.
And his
get your name out.
His video is very.
Can we address the obvious? Shall we address the obvious?
Should we address the tiger in the room?
The tiger in the room. He referred to all of the other parties as sheep, and
which
himself
again
as a tiger,
which is a common trope of independent.
Yes, as sort of like a lone leader or something. I liked it. He says he says he was answering 2 questions. One of those questions is, why is he running as an independent now? And he gave no explanation of why he decided to run outside of the Conservative Party.
He didn't even mention
issues within the Conservative
Party. He didn't even mention that he was a member.
Yeah, and Boris, whether Boris Conservative Party or not, how that went. He just said, "They are sheep. I am a tiger." That was it. That was the. But he has been, engaging the community, bringing in question and answer sessions, I think.
Which I think is good.
Obviously, all of them are going on the ground. And
no, but I think it's good from a campaign point of view.
Especially the Green Party has been, especially in Yorkshire, has been talking about sewage and trying to get involved with the locals and dealing with it. before they're even elected.
Shall we talk Lawrence Fox?
Lawrence Fox.
Lawrence Fox is
the leader of the Reclaim Party.
Is an English actor and musician and former member of the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
He's the leader of the Reclaim Party. I describe the Reclaim Party as UKIP if they focus more on the culture wars. What I mean by the culture wars is their anger. The Reclaim Party focuses much more on
issues pertaining
to
wokeism.
Now I'm saying wokeism in inverted commas. This is what they call wokeism. I'm going to scroll down just really.
He's new to politics, obviously. We remember him from the London
mayor election where he got less votes than a YouTuber.
Alright then. He ran to stop him, actually. But
No, he got more votes than that guy, but less votes than another guy.
Oh, I see.
Now,
he's been an activist for a while, let's say.
He's been an activist for a while, and the Reclaim Party are very slick and kind of business-like in their kind of version of right wing.
Maybe economically a bit more. You could say low tax kind of classic.
He's he's an actor, so photogenic with the buildings, he knows.
But he's moving in his.
He's got his dog.
He's based around London, though. He's trying to basically. I mean, he's got money to spend on it.
Yeah,
he's
£5 million.
He's an actor. He's got
he put his personal fortune and his personal media empire up. And he put quite a successful acting career on the line.
Yes.
So what I mean by that is he didn't have to come into politics. I'm just saying he really this isn't he really believes what he's going for.
Yeah, I mean, his major. He's also somewhat against the COVID lockdown. He was more of a conspiracy theorist, but he was. Do you remember also against the not just the lockdowns and I think he went out and tried to campaign in obviously without or disregarding being lockdown rules.
And he's also very much anti a lot of cultural things like drag story time and drag queens and LGBT. He's often protesting outside.
And that's one of his main platforms. Anyway,
and he does have a suffrage.
He does. There's him. There are other right-wing parties. For example, there's the UKIP. Have we talked about
UKIP? She is the new deputy leader of UKIP, Rebecca Jane. She is a kind of businesswoman-esque character.
Was she?
I say character. Person. She's a person. She's often on GB News.
Yeah.
Nearly said LGB.
No, she's on
GB News. Often talking. She's before going into politics, she was a businesswoman.
So yeah, there's a lot of that business kind of centered ideas about lowering tax, lowering regulations, being more neoliberal in that sense, and then also moving into a more right-wing position with regards to
immigration. Now.
77 Joseph. We shouldn't laugh when we start going to candidates.
No.
77 Joseph is unorthodox in his language and
name, even down
name.
to.
He says that it has a number of meanings.
We know none of them.
We're not necessarily intending to learn them. So
I don't know.
Well, he has stood for quite a lot of elections since 2010. He's been standing for elections, parliamentary elections as well, general elections, proper elect. He's only really stood for those. He's not one of those. Oh, I've been in the council for 30 years. You know, he's just come in on parliamentary or general elections when he can, as an independent every time. So we would tell you more about his policies. Do you want to handle that one? I've written a lot of question marks and a lot of exclamation marks.
Yeah. Just for the viewer, under each candidate over the past hour or so, we've written a shorthand just to help our
summarize the details. And he's come out as a lot of question marks and
because
exclamation marks.
For him, he's not a joke candidate. Like I don't.
No, I mean he's very pro monarchy.
I don't know if he is he.
Well, I don't know. I think his values are towards the British Empire, maybe.
The British Empire, like he likes the British Empire. I saw a video when he said the Prime Minister needed to be like Moses, which I didn't.
Well, Boris did compare himself to Moses at one stage, but
very religious.
He's found he's got some sort of a odd relationship maybe with the Empire or something.
I think he's Christian, man.
Yeah, he is definitely very, very solidly.
Just as a point, one of the part of the website simply says, "Wow."
Yeah, that's one of the pages on this website. I like that.
And then on another part of the website, it just says, "See wow" for explanation. Like, no, that doesn't explain.
Anyway, here's a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
And I will be really intrigued to see his vote.
So we've got obviously another Social Democratic Party.
This guy ex-army, so
Steve Gardner. He's in favour of armed forces and things like that. So that's part of their social conservative kind of not social conservative, socially right, more rights. Right of centre maybe, and then left economic policies.
Conservative doesn't always mean right wing.
No, well, not in the full sense.
And right wing doesn't always mean conservative.
No,
because if you look at someone like Gove or like people within the Conservative Party,
you can get more right wing, but
not all of them are conservative.
It depends what they're conserving, and whether it's about the nation or something. You wanted to go back, I think, to one of the
candidates in
Selby and Ainsley,
who we didn't
talk about very much,
because I think it's interesting.
Yorkshire Tyke is what he's being called in quotation marks. I like that he's being called Yorkshire Tyke.
He's a councillor.
Yes.
And he was a spokesperson for the Yorkshire Party, and he's only 24.
He's left. He's Wilson Kerr is his name. Wilson Kerr. But yes, he's left that party, and it's interesting. The other man has stepped back in once again. He used to be a spokesperson for Yorkshire Party. He got relatively few votes compared to later on. In 2021 he came back in nearby and got.
Especially if you compare them to the votes that Mike Jordan was getting for the Yorkshire Party. They are
a bit higher. I mean, he got 1,000. You're talking about thousands versus hundreds.
Yeah.
Really.
And low hundreds at that.
Yeah, his best year is 2019, 50,000. And that's better than he's done for Conservatives, although he wasn't elected at that time. Anyway, I think we've done all the candidates that we found interesting.
Now, for those
we found lots of information on.
Now, for those candidates that we
kind of skimmed over a little bit.
Again, apologies. Nothing personal. It's just
how much information we find in that time.
Full disclosure, Democracy Club is a great.
It's been the link to most of their pages and social media pages and so on.
Great resource. So I would encourage any of you, if you're interested in finding out more, write to your candidate, look up what they stand for, get a full understanding of their policy brief before you make your decision.
Or the lack thereof. What do you think?
And you told me to be,
Oh no, I didn't say who. But basically, what was your general take?
Okay. I was surprised by the number of independents or the number of serious minor parties. Now, I use that term genuinely. Some of these independent and minor parties genuinely believe they can win.
Wow. Okay, that was optimistic, was it?
Look, what I mean by that
they've got high ambitions. They've got very great ambitions.
I'm not saying they won't win. I'm saying it's highly unlikely.
Some of these minor parties, especially, they don't just want one seat. They want because independents are just independent, but they want several seats in these parties.
Yeah. What was your main takeaway?
The Conservatives.
Then try not to offend as many people as I did on my main takeaway.
I think, look, honestly, the number of minor parties, do you think they're increasing? I mean, there were different parties in the past, but
the level of variety, I think, is interesting.
Since the Liberals have split up and the Labour has become very well, it's always been quite factional.
But
I think the Conservatives are going to find it very difficult, especially in Yorkshire and in the southwest.
So, do you want to make a prediction on each? We'll go by-election by by-election.
So in the southwest, that's the area where the Lib Dems tend to do best.
I don't think Labour's got a shot because their website doesn't work, and
Well, I'm not sure. I don't think they'll have much success out of main cities. We've got Bristol. We haven't got many other main cities in that area.
No, but Bristol is an outlier in its left wingness compared to the mess.
Well, I think the rest
are
mixed.
The southwest,
more centre, more centre, and I think that and more right. So I think they will probably go towards Lib Dems before Labour, and that will hurt Labour.
No, and I think she will win. And
maybe even the Conservatives will keep a lot, maybe some rural seats. They'll keep quite a few, but I think the Lib Dems.
No, but I think. I don't think the Conservatives can hold, especially because it's a by-election. I think maybe some Conservative, and especially because the previous Conservative MP, because of what he's been accused of, allegedly.
It's going to be difficult to call that back. But I mean, obviously, we're not on the ground, so we can't know huge amounts. We haven't travelled to these places. We can't know everything about what's going on.
But I think it will be Somerton and Frome will be. So I think are we in agreement there? Our prediction is
towards either Lib Dems or maybe I feel like there's a possibility they could go with some. No, actually, I think you're right. Either Green or Lib Dem, but I think the Green opportunity is less, or climate party.
I think Green is more likely than Labour. I'm gonna be honest.
Yes, but definitely not Lib Dem.
No. I'm not. I'm just saying. Out for second preference.
They're not that comfortable usually with left parties. No, we might be wrong. Well, Greens are left, but like climate party kind of. They tend to be quite conscious of these things.
Yes.
In the West.
Yeah.
So, how about the Yorkshire?
Okay. I honestly think Michael Jordan.
He's in with a chance as a Yorkshire party, but do you think they'll see the Yorkshire party on there?
No.
Because he's been elected as a Conservative.
Is in with a chance of not winning, but making a large, coming third. What do you think?
I think I definitely think he could do well, but I'm just not sure how well. I mean, the AI guy is interesting. Look, he has been elected in local elections. When it comes to UK parliamentary elections, he's less successful. What I think, I mean, you have to sort of then look at. I think local elections are different. Council elections are much harder to pin down. Okay.
But wait. But I think Labour are in with a genuine shot in Yorkshire.
If not this time, maybe towards the general election.
Yeah.
I think they can shore up enough support now, at least, to get to the general election. In fact, I probably expect them to get a decent share of the vote come the general election.
I don't think Lib Dems have got it here, genuinely.
They might. It's possible, but not likely.
So my prediction is a Labour hold, but not a big Labour majority. No, a Labour gained, but not a big majority.
Yeah, maybe not. And I don't see any of the others.
No, I think Green.
I think Yorkshire's always been very Labour voting. I think maybe this is just a strange anomaly.
Wait, what do you think about the SDP? Before we move on to
SDP, I don't know. I mean, it's one to watch, but I've never seen. We've never proven they've never gained an MP.
They're an unknown.
They haven't gained a seat. So, and they're not gaining councils that much either. And it's going to be in seats like this.
But to be fair, they recently they have gained 2 candidates in Leeds, which is not far away from.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I think Yorkshire is the chance, isn't it?
So there is an SDP candidate in 2 councillors in Leeds City Council, I believe. Though that I don't know that for fact, so don't take that as gospel. I don't think Christian Party had a shot.
Speaking of,
see what I did there?
Yeah. Going over to Uxbridge. Going over to Uxbridge and South Wrestling. I can't see.
It's Labour.
If they're single issue people, I think this vote is too big. Or the MP that's left necessitates that there's some sort of national. What do you think? Because it's not just the bins being kicked out that they're worried about.
Sorry, can't bin, please.
It's
we got to have an image of him looking sad.
Look, it's
like I think that one's a more solid Labour win than the York.
Sure. I mean, Steve Tuckwell. There's a possibility, and for the Conservatives, and for the.
What do you think about the Lib Dem guy? 2 for Europe, just 2
No, I don't know. I just don't think that I know enough about him to say. But I think the Beals, and Mr. Beals, the Labour Party. The Beals. No,
I thought you missaid the Beatles. Then I was like, what?
No, not in this era. I think the Green parties might get large shares of the vote. I think it's going to be either Labour
I could see a Green Party coming in third or second.
Yes.
Oh no, but I think it's still going to be a tight one. Like it's nothing.
It will definitely be
guaranteed for the Labour Party.
Definitely tight.
Or any other party.
Look, yeah, Conservative
So,
or Labour.
so just to recap, so for Somerton and Frome, we are the
Liberal
Democrat, followed by possible Green.
And I think Selby and Ainsty are Labour.
Labour with
a slight chance of.
no.
I don't think they're going to get much else. Maybe the
No, I
can see Labour. Really
no, but I mean, do you not think Yorkshire could come in third or something?
Yeah, no, I don't think they're horribly, but I think it's got to be Labour. Really, I mean, I may eat my words. Yeah. Uxbridge.
Uxbridge.
More unpredictable, maybe.
Too close to call, but push Labour, but could swing that story.
Yeah,
Would you?
Could go. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Labour primarily, Tories possibly. Green parties will do very well.
Yeah.
I
think Green parties
maybe in the southwest as well.
The Green parties will do well in all. Sorry, mate. Cats just come.
Yeah, I know all of these
come into the office.
Or at least Green-like parties. I mean, you've got
so you've got the climate
party,
and it'll be interesting to see how those two candidates, how those two parties compare against each other. So, I don't know. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because again, the climate party is like the SDP, an untested party. So
yeah, I mean, the SDP in Yorkshire will be one to watch. Anyway,
we've spoken for a long time, and you're probably bored of what we've said.
Oh well,
but
we did.
I hope you have
learned at least about some.
Learned at least about some of the candidates, because boy, I gotta tell you, going through some of them, it makes you really think about your democracy.
Well, ending on that note.
Thank you for listening, and hopefully we'll see you soon for more political updates. And it's goodbye from me, Curtis Rolton. Goodbye.